Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. 1883 Season 1 Finale's death perfectly mirrors Yellowstone pilot episode. 1883 Season 1's most tragic death not only serves as the perfect ending to the show, but also mirrors the very first episode of Yellowstone. Set during the titular year, 1883 is a Western period drama that dives deeply into the origins of the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. The show serves as the first spin-off prequel series for Yellowstone, and as the second series in Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western universe. No wonder the finale of 1883 Season 1 perfectly pays tribute to the pilot episode of Yellowstone. In Yellowstone Season 1, Episode 1 Daybreak, the conflict between the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch and the Broken Rock Indian Reservation over a herd of cattle results in a shootout. One of the casualties is Lee Dutton, the son of Yellowstone protagonist John Dutton. Before burying his son, John takes Lee's body to a quiet, secluded spot on the property, and once there, John holds his son's lifeless body and grieves under a tree. 1883 perfectly mirrors this scene in 1883 Season 1, Episode 10, This Is Not Your Heaven. More than a century before John held his son Lee for one last time surrounded by the natural beauty of Paradise Valley, another Dutton patriarch grieved the loss of their offspring in that very same spot. In 1883, the same scene was repeated by Yellowstone Dutton Ranch founder James Dutton, who grieved for the death of his daughter Elsa Dutton. There are plenty of differences in the circumstances of Lee and Elsa's respective deaths. Nonetheless, one key element is the same. Both John and James lost not just their offspring, they respectively lost the son and the daughter whom they expected to carry on their legacy. Moreover, Elsa and Lee both lost their lives in pursuit of their respective fathers' primary goals. While Elsa's death served to mark the future site of the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch, Lee's death gave John a renewed resolve to protect their family's property. Both are sacrifices that only made the Duttons stronger as a whole. Both Elsa and Lee died while surrounded by the beauty of the land that they claimed and protected with their own lives. Indeed, the way the ending of 1883 Season 1 mirrors the Yellowstone pilot also draws deep parallels between James and John Dutton, who no doubt blame themselves respectively for Elsa and Lee's deaths. The reality is that although Elsa and Lee's fathers were the ones who placed them in dangerous situations, neither James nor John is truly responsible. All four of these characters were simply doing what they felt was best for the Dutton family, and none of them are truly responsible for Elsa and Lee's deaths, the causes of which are a variety of interrelated factors, a complex web of socio-political conflicts that have driven both Yellowstone and 1883. 1883's bittersweet Season 1 finale marks the beginning of a new chapter for the Duttons of the late 19th century. In the same way that Lee's death sets up the conflicts in Yellowstone Season 1, so does Elsa's death lay the groundwork for 1883 Season 2. Moreover, with Yellowstone Season 5 in the horizon, audiences can expect more poignant connections between the different neo-westerns that share Sheridan's universe. The finale of 1883 offers a poignant and dramatic conclusion that strikes a chilling resemblance to the pilot episode of Yellowstone, two series connected not only by their shared universe, but by thematic parallels, particularly the death that sets the course for both shows. While both series are rooted in the American West and showcase intense family dynamics, rugged landscapes, and the clash between progress and tradition, it is the death in each show's first major episode that cements the shared lineage between the two. This death is not just a simple plot device. It's a catalyst for the central conflicts in both series, mirroring the cycles of violence, revenge, and power that will shape the characters' fates. In 1883, the death of Elsa Dutton at the end of Season 1 marks the tragic culmination of the series' overarching narrative. Elsa's death is poignant and impactful, not just because of her character's significance, but because it sets the stage for the Dutton family's long-lasting struggles in Yellowstone. The Duttons' trajectory from 1883 to Yellowstone is cemented through the tragic arc of Elsa's death, a turning point that echoes throughout the history of the family. Elsa, who had been the heart and soul of the 1883 storyline, dies after being shot by an enemy warrior, and her passing carries with it a sense of finality. Elsa's death, however, becomes a transformative moment in the Dutton family legacy. In the Yellowstone pilot, another death unfolds, similarly profound but wrapped in a complex web of family loyalty, property disputes, and the brutal landscape of the American West. The murder of a key character in the Yellowstone pilot, one that occurs on the ranch and leads to an escalating battle over land and power, set the stage for the power struggles that would unfold over the following seasons. This killing, like Elsa's death, isn't just a tragic loss. It's a spark that ignites a series of events that intertwine the fate of the family with the larger forces of nature, greed, and conflict. The themes of death and revenge permeate both series, connecting them in a cyclical fashion where each death propels the storyline forward, marking pivotal moments in both series' respective family histories. What is most striking about the two deaths is the emotional and thematic resonance between them. Elsa's passing in 1883 is not merely the death of an individual, but the death of an ideal, the innocence and hope of a family trying to carve out their place in a harsh and unforgiving land. Elsa embodies the spirit of a new world, the hope of finding peace in the wilderness and the promise of a new beginning. However, just as the American West had been forged through hardship and violence, Elsa's death signifies the inevitability of the world's darker side catching up with the family. The Duttons, as seen in Yellowstone, are doomed to repeat the cycle of loss and survival that began with Elsa's death. Similarly, the death in the Yellowstone pilot is not simply about the loss of a character, it's about the loss of innocence. The moment signals a change in the balance of power and sets the tone for everything that follows. Just as Elsa's death in 1883 is inextricably linked to the family's pursuit of a better life in the West, the killing in Yellowstone reflects the unrelenting nature of the fight for survival in a world that shows no mercy. Both deaths, in their own way, represent the disillusionment that follows the pursuit of the American dream, as the characters come to terms with the brutal realities of their choices. The connection between the two deaths becomes clearer when examining the Dutton family's legacy across both series. In 1883, Elsa's passing, while tragic, can be seen as a sacrifice that solidifies the Dutton family's future. It is through her death that the foundation of the Dutton Empire begins to take root, as the sacrifices made during the trek across the plains give way to the Dutton Ranch that will eventually become the central focus in Yellowstone. Similarly, the death in the Yellowstone pilot marks a turning point that shapes John Dutton's worldview, and ultimately influences the decisions he will make to protect his land and family at any cost. The cycle of violence, death, and loyalty that runs through both series originates from these deaths, becoming the driving force for the Duttons and their enduring struggle for survival in an ever-changing world. Another crucial aspect of both deaths is the emotional toll they take on the characters who are left behind. Elsa's death in 1883 leaves a lasting void, particularly for her father, James Dutton, who must grapple with the loss of his daughter in a brutal and unforgiving world. James' grief mirrors the pain of those left behind in Yellowstone, particularly John Dutton, who carries the weight of his family's legacy and the losses that have defined his life. The death in Yellowstone pushes John into a darker place, where vengeance becomes the only way to cope with the loss. In both instances, the deaths act as catalysts for the characters' transformations, shaping their motivations and driving their actions in ways that will resonate throughout the series. Elsa's death in 1883 and the death in Yellowstone both serve as moments of deep reflection for the characters involved. Each death represents a pivotal moment in the journey of survival in the American West, and in both cases, the family's connection to the land becomes inextricable from the sacrifices made. As both series progress, the Duttons' drive to hold on to their land is colored by the tragedies that have come before, a direct result of the deaths that are woven into their narrative fabric. While 1883 and Yellowstone may exist in different time periods, the deaths in each series form the backbone of the Dutton family's legacy. These moments remind us that the Duttons are not merely fighting for land. They are fighting for the memory of those they have lost and the enduring power of their name. The deaths in both shows mirror each other in their emotional weight, thematic significance, and the harsh realities of life in the American West. Through Elsa's death in 1883 and the pivotal loss in Yellowstone, the Dutton family is irrevocably altered, setting the stage for the struggles, heartbreak, and triumphs that will continue to define their story for generations to come.